Hello. So I love the pipe analogy, and I've been thinking about it a lot, and I just want your guidance. You're always great in giving me guidance on this. So I've definitely been laying new pipe since you said it, and I love thinking about that. And in the new pipe, all the people in my life are happy and joyful and helpful and wonderful. And then I have...
Strangers, huh?
They really... yes, they are. They actually are. They're the same people. And then I have these old pipes, and what I realized I would really just like... You're always good at guiding me, is the old pipes are reliable. They don't break down. I've relied on them for 30, 40, 50 years.
Well, let's be clear. Some of those old pipes are leading to all kinds of things that you want. So let's talk about, rather than old pipes and new pipes, let's talk about good feeling paths and not such good feeling paths. So the reliable, that's good feeling. So what are you getting at here?
I guess what I keep thinking is, like, I can focus on the new pipes and feel really great, but I worry that if I don't pay attention to the old, this is what I find myself doing. I feel like I'm looking back at the old pipes and saying, like, you're okay, like you're not going to suddenly blow up in my face and leak all over my life, when if I could just focus on those new pipes,
how do we get there? How do we get there?
That's really what it feels like.
So there are paths of least resistance, and the paths of least resistance are the same thing as the path of most allowance. And so we're talking about allowing, not resisting, whatever we're giving our attention to. So we can be allowing things we want, or we can be allowing things we don't want. We can be resisting things we want. We could be resisting things we don't want. So is resisting things we don't want the same as allowing things we do want? Well, think about it. It's a trick question. If what we don't want is all clogged up and what we do want is all open, then are we allowing what we do want while we are disallowing what we don't want? Now, you've been good students, and we've said you can't push against what you don't want, and so that's why you so quickly gave a formerly correct answer. But we're making it all so complicated. As you stand now, you don't have to worry about whether it's an old pipe or a new pipe. You don't have to figure any of that out. You don't have to figure out if it's in the vortex. You don't have to figure out if it's upstream or downstream. You don't have to figure... All you have to figure out is, how does this thought feel? And if this thought doesn't feel good, then you've got 17 seconds to change the subject. And if you've caught yourself early, you can easily do it in 17 seconds. It's like Esther loved the first time that she and Jerry came to San Francisco. It's the first time she saw those streets, those ridiculous streets. So imagine your car at the top of the hill, and you just nudge it a little and it starts to move forward, and you're wise enough to know what's going to happen, so you step out in front of it and you stop the momentum before it gets out of hand. But imagine if you were at the bottom of the hill waiting to stop that momentum. So this is the same sort of thing. If you stop the momentum before it gets going, or better said, don't encourage the momentum, change your direction. Now, back to you. What are you talking about?
Well, I don't want to be specifics because I like when you say go general. So what I'll say is, so there is an email in my inbox that feels bad. And I feel like if I don't pay attention to it, something bad could happen, but I don't want to pay attention to it because it doesn't feel good.
All right, so...
It feels like one of those clogged pipes.
Now we need another story. So... You've been listening to us for a while and hearing us talk about the emotional scale, where you feel elation, clarity, love, appreciation, all the way down to despair, grief, disempowerment, and all those in between that we've talked about endlessly over time. So let's say that somehow, and we'll talk about how in a little bit, you managed to go to bed feeling pretty good, appreciating something. You went to sleep, you woke up, and as soon as you woke up, it was your determination to reach for thoughts that felt good to you. So you managed to find one of those good feeling vibrations. Now, we're describing that as your point of attraction. Your point of attraction can be elation. Your point of attraction can be frustration. Your point of attraction could be fear or despair or grief. The emotion that you feel equals your point of attraction, equals your grid. So we're trying to get you to see some visuals like this spinning grid disc that equals your point of attraction. And the reason it spins is because it is powerful. It is gathering things that are a vibrational match to it. And so you literally are walking around in this day on one of these spinning grid discs that feels like despair, or it feels like elation, or it feels like love or appreciation, or it feels like overwhelmment, or it feels like anger, or it feels like revenge. In other words, you're getting the sense. You can sort of feel where these emotions fall in relationship to one another. So let's say that you somehow, some way, are on this high-flying, good-feeling disc. Well, that's the time that you want to give your attention to laying new pipes about subjects that have formerly been not such good-feeling relationships. So something will happen. Esther got an email like that yesterday. But she was flying high when she got it. And she thought, I'm so glad I'm flying high when I've got this, because I don't feel terrible about it. I feel like I need to tend to it. I feel like it deserves a reply, but it didn't feel overwhelming to her. It didn't feel like something terrible had happened. It didn't feel like it was the end of the world. It didn't feel like that exact email would have felt under other emotional conditions, you see. So what we're really wanting you to do is not worry too much about your pipes and not worry too much about anything except getting on that high-flying disc, doing whatever it takes to get there first. You've heard us, if you've been listening to us for a while, we were saying that, so you're sifting through contrast and you're launching these rockets and they're vibrationally preceding you. So you've created these vortices that haven't manifested yet. They're vibrational versions of what you've been thinking about. So we want you to realize that when you launch a rocket, that the source within you rides that rocket, and that vortex is really pure positive energy, that high-flying vortex that you want to be a vibrational match to. But we want you to also realize that whatever disc you're choosing has attraction power. And that attraction power is going to bring to you whatever matches how you feel. In other words, sometimes you just got to admit you're on the ornery disc. And when you're on the ornery disc, ornery people from family, from friends, strangers, in other words, there's no discrimination. They come from everywhere to rendezvous with you, because law of attraction says you get what you think about, whether you want it or not. That what you're putting out there vibrationally is coming back to you. Not later, now. Not later, now. So is it going to manifest instantly? Well, it depends on how well you've laid that pipe. It depends upon how much movement is moving through that pipe. It depends on how well you've practiced that pipe. So you get the email and you feel bad. That's not the time to tend to it. When you're angry, that's not the time to talk to your kids. When you're upset about something, that's not the time to add more attention to it, because the more attention you add to it opens a wider path of least resistance and makes you a rendezvouser with things that are a vibrational match to that. So if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would whittle this philosophy down to 2 deliberate points of attention and therefore action or behavior. We would care about our pipes, and we would be aware of our emotions. So we'd let the not good feeling ones just close up from lack of attention, and we'd let the really good feeling ones just get wider and wider with more and more specific detail that delights us. And we would be aware of our relationship on these spinning grids, and that would be our dominant intention. I'm going to get on the high-flying disc. I'm going to get on the high-flying disc. And here's the part that we so much want you to hear. If you should find yourself not on a high-flying disc, that's not the time to try to claw your way up. It really isn't. Time for another story. Best analogy we've ever given you that speaks to this. It's like you say to us, Abraham, I've fallen out of an airplane and I have no parachute. What should I do now? And we say, hang on, it will be over in a little while. Because there is a momentum going that no action is going to compensate for. And we would like you to feel that way if you're having a fight with someone that you care about. Hang on, it will be over in a little while, but it's not going to get better if you continue to have the conversation. And here's really, this is the thing that we really, if you can hear this, then you're home free on all of this. Oh, never mind. No. This is really, really, really a wonderful thing to understand. It will explain so much to you about all of your interpersonal relationships. So let's say you are on a disc of frustration and someone in your life is on a high-flying disc. And you have something you think they should know. So you open a conversation, and they clearly don't hear you because they're still smiling. They're not hearing you. And so one of two things has to happen. Either you have to join them on their high-flying disc, which is highly unlikely under these conditions, or they have to join you on the lower flying disc, which is more likely because you're determined to be heard. So a lot of interpersonal relationships are coming to light, aren't they? Because you want to be heard. And this is the thing. If we can soothe this with you. Esther said, it was such a epiphany for her that we don't have a language barrier here. It's not a cultural barrier. It's a vibrational barrier. And she's not always claiming to be the one on the high-flying disc. In other words, if you're on a high-flying disc, don't try to explain that stuff to somebody who isn't. They're not going to hear you. And if you're on a lower-flying disc, don't try to explain anything to anybody ever anyway. Do you know that you could get 90 or more % of your life back if you just stopped trying to communicate those impossible things? Because when you've let law of attraction match you up, you get each other. You're exchanging glances. Your movements are saying it to each other. You're having the same thought at the same moment. You really get it with each other. But if you're not, then don't waste your time or theirs by trying to communicate. Instead, let all of your effort, and we use that word sparingly, be about focusing onto the high-flying disc. So, in short, we don't want to talk so much about the content of the email. We only want to talk about your state of mind when you read it. Mm-hmm. Because you can't control what people send you in emails, but you can control what disc you're on before you turn your computer on. You can control that. And everything then comes from that, doesn't it? Is this helpful? Mm-hmm. Helpful?
My computer works better when I'm on a high-flying disc, too.
Yeah, everything does, especially electronic things.
Yes.
Especially electronic things.
Yeah.
Esther lives in an electrical house. Oh my, it has been a rough ride. It's all smoothed out now, but for a while, we won't even talk about it. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9. Enough?
Yeah, that was great.
Really good.
Perfect.
Really good.
Thank you very much.
Further back? Further over? Just stand up if you think it might be you. No, not you. No, not you. No, not you. Not. Yeah, wait. Not you. You. Yes. The reluctant one. Sorry, your time's all up.